there, and they hold a drum circle on the new moon, the full moon.
Dandelion.
Yeah, the dandelion, yes.
It's very sad that they closed, so.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that.
No drum circle anymore.
Oh, well.
You know, we both were dancing like a wild, so.
You know, I know, I believe this, and I believe you do too. That was so, you know, when I dance, and I think you do too, when I dance, I don't see anybody around me. It's just, it's here. You know?
Yeah, I disappeared. Well, I will hear people sometimes complain, but you know.
Yes, because you know, they don't understand maybe, but that's okay. But you know, that's the place, that's my happy place, and that's where I feel so connected to God in those places, you know.
Well, it's full moon and fire and people drumming. It's the most excited time, you know.
Yeah.
I cannot just sit around.
No, it was beautiful that everybody was there with their drums and with their percussion instruments, and just so beautiful. So, you know, these are things that, these are great memories, and they're very important.
Yeah.
And you know, when we were talking, and Emir and I were preparing to do this, he said, you know, I think the topic should be a journey into the human psyche.
I come up with that. Yes, that's right. I mean, I was meditating, and this vision came to my mind. It's literally almost like a metaphor. And well, I'm gonna jump into it. It's like we all in the ocean, right? Imagine an ocean, and there's a lot of hooks. Like there's a lot of hooks on the surface of the ocean. Mm-hmm. And like we are all fish, and those hooks have a lot of baits. It's really seducing us. It's almost serving our unconscious parts that we drawn to them. And there is money involved, there is power involved, there is sex involved, there is beauty involved, a lot of things involved, and we keep hooking them, and we doesn't know how to go deeper, because those hooks really keeping us surface. Mm-hmm. And in that vision, in my meditation, I realized myself, or people who love truth, for a while, they don't drawn into that hooks. And they start getting curious about the deepest part of the ocean, you know, because I think everything starts with curiosity, and I don't know where that curiosity come from, Andrea. Like it's almost like it's almost like a magnet. Mm-hmm. You start having interest in things, and you start, where is the interest? Here's the knowledge, and you start, you know, learning about it and going deeper. And I saw those people who are passionate about truth, not getting hooked, but going deepest part of the ocean. Mm-hmm. You know? And then my journey started. And then what I come across with, like, I think this is the deep part of the psyche. I cannot say this is the deepest part of the psyche. I don't know yet, because it seems like it's keep going, you know? Mm-hmm. And that deepest part of the psyche, it shows me what's the truth is. It's not as like opinion though. It's not like, oh, what do you think about this flower? I think this flower is beautiful. It's not like a subject that I believe this idea is true, and I'm not gonna allow anybody break that idea. It's a truth that very simple. It's close to death, Andrea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Close to nothingness almost.
Yes.
And when I realize, when I keep myself in that truth, when I keep myself in that nothingness, I start realizing how everything, the things that I'm calling bird, the flower, everything is just human made.
Yes.
Made it up. It's just like so we can have communication about it. We can talk about it. But that truth really shows me what is beyond the mind, what is beyond the name that we put it on stuff.
Right. Beyond
It's
the
almost,
label.
that's right. Label. Yes, that's right word. And it shows me, I call that death. But it's not like when we call death, people kind of tend to understand that death is like disappearing, you know. Yeah, that's a death too, but I'm talking about the nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
And in that truth, I start realizing the truth is maybe nothing. The empty, like Buddha says, emptiness of being, the space. And then I realized, but that's really dry actually. It's really dry. If okay, it's empty. Everything come from nothing, and it's gonna go to nothing.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And that nothingness in my human body experience as silence. It's quiet. Oh, it's really delightful, quiet though. You know,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's so interesting, Andrea. Even the mind can be so loud,
Yeah.
but if you focus on that quiet, if you focus on that nothing, it just the mind tend to follow that too. Of course, mind giving you hard times because the mind really knows what your weaknesses are, what's
Yes.
your because it's like a little child trying to
Mm-hmm.
keep attention all the time. But
Yes.
what about this? You have to figure this out first. But you have this problem. You have to solve this first. Oh, this is beautiful. I think keep. But if we really trust that nothing and see some value in it, oh, it's so transformative.
Yes.
Really is. Yeah, I mean, I remember 2 years ago. Well, I think it's 5 years ago I come across with this silence, nothing. And I kept myself in it for a while. And 2 years ago, I had that realization. Me and Tatiana, my wife, had some argument, right? And then I left the home and I started walking outside, and I realized this anger in me. I realized this rage, and then all of a sudden I get so alert, like a bird, or whatever you want to call, like a tiger about to hunt. I get really alert, and I keep walking. And I pay attention, my attention gets really sharpened, and I start paying attention to my anger. And I see that anger really comes from gut and start creating a thought.
Mm.
It wasn't a nice thought,
Right. Right.
And it starts, but I'm still alert, and I see that manifesting as thought. And those thoughts tend to make me more angry. And I keep focusing on one thought, I don't really remember. And I asked this question, inquiry. It was like, where is this thought come from? And in that moment, Andrea, boom, that the consciousness really shift. And I realized, wow, I am the nothing. I am the emptiness. And everything comes from me as empty, not as Emir.
Yes.
It was really freeing, Andrea. It was really like, and then I will look outside and I could see everything existing on nothing. Everything exists on empty, and everything bound to go to empty again. And I didn't know what to do with that knowledge. Even me and my wife was not good, but I went home, my mouth smiling, and Tatiana goes, and I was just, babe, and I totally forget what happened. I was so excited about sharing it stuff. Yeah.
Amir, I would call that divine intervention. For me, that's what I would call that, divine intervention. And but it's so beautiful to hear how that unfolded for you.
Yes. It's so unique for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And there was something that, some of us call that God's light or God's silence,
Yes.
or whatever we want to call what we believe in. I call it God. And
I always say, discover first and come up with the name, whatever you want to name. You
yes.
call that God, you call that empty, you call that Buddha head, anything.
Right.
Christ
Right.
consciousness, yeah.
This morning I was, when I was getting ready to, preparing to be here today, I was listening to a video, and it was about, it was on YouTube, and it was about God's timing.
God's timing.
God's timing. And because we think that when we speak to God, or when we speak to the silence, or when we need something and we don't hear an answer, we don't hear an automatic reaction from God, that he's not hearing us. But you know what? I thought about this, and I thought, I'm an astrologer, and I know that astrology shows God's timing for us, and we have to trust and know that he is there, and he is listening. And maybe when it's so quiet, it's because he's listening.
Yes.
It's because he's listening. And
I agree.
because I've stopped my foot before. I had a dream one time. I was standing on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah.
And I'm stomping my foot going, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? And all of a sudden the sun came up right in front of me, and I felt love like I have never felt before. And I knew there was no sound, there was no voice, but I felt everything is fine. Everything is going to be okay. And it was. It was.
In that point, you really helped me, actually. Like, I could see, because I study a little bit astrology, and your friendship, because I was in a period of really denying everything else but nothing. Everything else but silence. But the friends like you was pulling me and showing me there is also life. It's not just death. It's not also nothing. There is also life going on. And that's really, you come across, like, I really appreciate about. And that's the vision, actually. Remember the little fish going deeper to that?
Yes.
That vision didn't finish yet. So he discovered that nothing, but also he started realizing everything else coming from nothing. So there is also life. It's almost, truth is like the one hand, death and life. One doesn't exist without other. So no one can deny life forever. We are living beings. So that fish had to go up again.
Yeah.
That fish go up again and start playing in this beautiful nothing.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a lot of dangers, though. There's a lot of hooks. We keep living. We live in the surface.
And then there's all the fish swimming around you.
That's right. Yes. And that kind of consciousness, that kind of awareness, actually bring you responsibility, Andrea.
Yes.
When you tap into those kind of things, that brings you responsibility, and you cannot use that for bad. You cannot use that to manipulate others.
No.
You cannot use that to feel like you're supreme and the others doesn't know nothing.
Yeah.
So those are the other illusions start coming, because mind was like, oh, look what I just discovered. I discovered this, I better, But then you're in the different loop. You're in different hook again. The hooks are changing now, And the other day, Andrea, I had little discovery, realization. So we were laying down at night, and Tatiana was sleeping next to me. And we have a cat, right?
Yes.
And when she get hungry, oh, she's reckless. She's just like jumping from there to there, there to there, and she doesn't care if she wake up Tatiana or nothing. She's not aware. She's not even aware. She just knows she's hungry and she has to get it.
Yeah.
And I'm realizing, okay, I have to feed her. And I realize I get up really gently, almost like afraid wake her up. I didn't want to wake Tatiana. And I was like, that's interesting. And I fed her. And this discovery happened, Andrea. I realized I am aware that Tatiana is sleeping. I have the gift as a human being is awareness. We are aware.
Yes.
So also I have the power comes with it, that I can wake her up, I can hurt, I can do anything I want, but I choose to not. So that awareness I'm aware, and it brings me responsibility, actually. If
Yes.
awareness is the power, that power is responsibility. Because I had to, as a human being, I had to orient myself to good. That's what my value is.
Yes. Yes. And you know, animals have such a gift, and we, you know, so often are so busy that we don't hear what they're trying to tell us because it's quiet.
Right.
Sorry, I forgot to turn my phone off here. I apologize. I thought I had it off, and now it's off. Um, yeah, except my dog, she makes sure that she tells me out loud.
Oh, I know. I know.
Yeah, but you
You know,
know,
they both cancer. Maya, my cat, and your dog, they both cancer. So
oh yeah, they're very sensitive and they're in touch with the earth, you know, and all the surroundings, and you know, and they have, if we watch them, we could learn so much, you know.
I learned so much. It's so amazing to me how present they are.
Yes.
How just, you know, moving like the dance.
Yeah. You know, Amir, you make me think of something that happened years and years ago. My daughter and I were driving. I was in New Hampshire then, and we
Yeah.
were driving from Salem back to East Derry, and there was this long two-lane highway through, you know, woods on either side, and there was marshes on either side,
Mhm.
and all of a sudden comes this big gray hair and blue hair and gray hair with a big snake in its mouth flying right beside us.
Wow.
And I went, look, Lauren. I mean, it flew right beside us. And I thought to myself, I guess we're flying the right way.
Yes. Well, there's a snake in the mouth. That's right. You know, that's the
Yeah,
right.
it's right. We were flying, and I mean, he stayed, or she or he stayed right beside us for the longest time. And I thought, amazing, until it veered off into where the marsh was, you know. But that was an amazing message, you know. And
You actually come a really good point, that the willingness to receive and be open. Because if we not, we kind of keep we kind of into this loop and illusion, and nothing else really can help.
that's right. You're right.
If you are a little bit open and receiving, all the messages comes, you know, come through the animal, come through snake, come through our friends, come through our enemy. I don't know.
And you know, fear, you know, that what's coming to my mind right now is that fear can stop us from receiving.
Yes.
It can.
Yes. That's so isn't it so interesting though, Andrea? Like what sometimes don't I ask that question. Like why as a human being that we have fear of receiving? Why is it? So that's that part. The questions to me is always tend to get you deeper than your current state. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I always suggest people question why, and that itself is openness. No,
Yeah.
that itself. As soon as, like, let's say you got into argument with your friend, and if you sit in front of him, goes like, why do you think we are doing this? Without the topics about whatever you're arguing, just sitting and saying like, why do you think we have hard time receiving each other? I don't think you're a bad person. I don't think I'm a bad person trying to hurt you. But there is something here that we cannot connect.
Mm-hmm.
So that question actually itself is openness.
Yeah.
So when I ask that question, like, why do we have fear receiving? And I can see in me that I think that we're really afraid of getting hurt, um, taking advantage of. And I think there is something in our childhood that we get hurt when we were so innocent. People used us for bad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, because as you're talking, I'm thinking about triggers, because I had just had an experience that fear was trying to stop me from being open.
Yes.
And so I sat in the quiet and I go, you know, why are you not trusting that this is the perfect plan, right? This is the perfect plan. Just do what you need to do. It will be okay. It will be okay. And I made a decision, but I needed to sit in the quiet to get to that place, because the old program, be scared. There's not going to be enough. There's not going to be enough. Yeah. And then when I sat in the quiet, and I just was like, I heard trust, just trust. And so I made a decision, and I know it'll be okay. And, it is our old programming, and it is the things that we've had happen in life that create triggers.
Yeah.
In our consciousness, in our subconscious, I should say more, and then we react from that automatic place,
Automatic place.
Automatic response. I was thinking about automatic payment. When you sign up for something, they're going to automatically take payment out of your account, and I'm thinking it's automatic. It's an automatic response. And, that's the beauty of astrology. We can see into someone's soul story, what they carried here, and their strengths, and where those fears are going to come up. And, we're living in a time right now that all of this is coming front and center for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're looking at changing the old program to a different program. But what does that look like? What does that look like going from here to there?
I hope it's more freeing.
Me too. Let's dance.
Well, there's really a lot. It's a lot to do with our condition, because those fear really, our parents and everything, society make us conditioned, and we feel safe in that condition, and we tend to walk like that. But I always tell people, especially this is danger in spirituality, Andrea. Mm-hmm. Like when people get into spirituality, they have some realizations, they discover some peace and stuff, and they start denying to healing. They goes like, I don't really need therapy. I don't really need astrology. I don't really need to know those things. But I say, like, I know from myself, we all have actually traumas.
Yeah.
Those deep-rooted traumas that tend to bring our consciousness to illusion.
Yeah.
And like the other day, I actually went to see a therapist, the first time in my life, and that was the most freeing thing. It's beautiful, and I was curious what she's doing. Also, like it was my first time, and I'm realizing that our body, even intellectually, even in the heart, we are so free. Mm-hmm. Intellectually, we know that's not true. In our heart, we feel that's not true. That's illusion. But our gut, sometimes our true body goes, there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So I think as a human being, we have to pay attention to those things too.
Yeah.
As powerful as empty we are, as free we are, also as vulnerable and as, weak as a human being we are. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we have to really pay attention and heal those wounds that traumatized before. So I realized after my awakening, I could see my body sometimes in certain situation will get so weak. Mm-hmm. And I could sense that it comes from my gut, interestingly. Sometimes it's fear, right? And that fear tend to just throw me off. Even I'm aware that's an illusion. I know 100%, but my body doesn't react that way. Like your dog. he tend to shake sometimes.
Yes.
He doesn't have the stories, oh, he's gonna hurt me, that's gonna hurt me, but his body feels not good.
Yeah.
So I think that time we really have to reach for help.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
that's the community. That's the community. People, you know, there's the love there. So I went to therapists and I talk about it. Even just talking about it, just bring those illusion to surface. I understand sometimes we can be really shy about talking things because that we think that's horrible and everything. But you know, just talking about it just makes you realize more. Wow, that's just such a relief. This has to be these things had to be free by here, by just talking about, just sharing it. It doesn't need to be just therapist. It can be the friend that you really trusted.
You know, on that, Amir, when you keep things in, then they tend to be trapped and they
Yeah,
tend to manifest in not good ways.
I agree.
And so, you know,
Even we don't want it though. Even we don't want it, that tend to manifest it, and we go like, wow.
right, and that's a part of growth and involvement. But you know, I call that, you know, I started a series last week on Facebook called Trapped Souls. And you know, trapped souls are not only when a person dies and they get stuck because things are holding them back, whatever that may be, but
Hmm.
we can free ourselves here
Yes,
by getting it out,
that's right.
by
Yeah.
finding some way to find peace with it. And we don't need to keep repeating that story, but we do until we get it out.
Hmm. That's the friendship helps, right?
Yes,
I
yes,
always tell my friends, like, let's bring our good self together and laugh our bad self. We
yes,
all have bad self. I love this story. There is this Zen teacher. He is ready to give a retreat for
yes.
5 days, I think. And right before his retreat, he give a speech, and everybody's just listening him. I'm really curious. And he begin his speech like this: I am an ass, you are an ass. Let's get over it. You know, like, let's get over those bad parts we have, because we all have it. We cannot deny it forever, you know.
That's right.
Yeah. And that actually, like, guiding our conversation to our darkest parts. There are shadows that we denying it, that we can't handle looking at it, you know.
Yeah. And if you can somehow find a way to sit with that shadow
Oh yeah.
and love that shadow, because that's the part, we all have it. We all have a shadow.
Mhm.
We all have our shadow side, and we all have the temptation.
Yeah, you don't believe you don't have shadow? Then look outside. Anything, anybody you see, if you feel some hate, if you feel some annoyment, that's your shadow right there. And you don't know sometimes why. Oh, because he's an angry person. Then you have some shadow with anger.
Yeah.
You should work on it, you know, until we really realize that person is me, just expressing the parts that I don't choose to express.
Yes. Ah, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yes.
there,
Yeah.
and there is the works for that too. Like, we, as a human being, we can work on our shadow.
Mhm.
Like, I'm a curious person. I'm a curious human being. I love my shadow. I cannot say I love my shadows. I just love discovering it. When I discover a shadow, I'm writing down. I was like, wow, this is a shadow. I just get so annoyed with this person. I tend to, like, really, and let's see what is that all about.
Mhm.
And to
Yeah.
me, this land, this earth is a gift for us, Andrea, so we can discover as
Yes.
deep as we can.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I completely agree with that. You know what I do when I find myself having an experience like you're saying, a mirror or a shadow from a relationship with someone else. You are so right. And in astrology, we call that a opposition, meaning that it raises our awareness to our differences, our likenesses,
Yeah.
what our boundaries are, and maybe it's something inside us that, like you said, I do not want the world to see.
Yeah. And when I see that part of myself, I cannot see. I tend to get angry. I tend to afraid, attack or escape. You know.
Yeah, and I love your description of the ocean
Yeah.
because the solar system and our human DNA, a cyclical pattern.
Mm.
It's always moving through time, so we're always moving through space. We're always moving through emptiness to a
Yes.
new horizon. So it's a beautiful thing, and here's what I do. I had a big decision last week to make. And I like to go on walks in the morning with Bunny at sunrise. And so I went and sat in the middle of a big field on top of her cart. I put it down. We sat in the field, and I'm sitting there listening to the birds. And I'm listening to the noises around me. And I knew in that space what I needed to do. And I said, doing it.
100%. I'm gonna go after it. Yeah.
So the silence is the most beautiful place.
There is a saying. This beautiful poet Rumi, Sufi Rumi, he says, I think, listen to silence. He has so many things to tell you. Yeah. I think as a society, we don't really value the silence so much.
Yeah.
We don't really, because we constantly want entertainment. Entertainment. I will do everything to escape that quietness.
Yeah.
Why? Isn't it so interesting? Isn't it
Yeah.
so interesting that we, as a two-person friend, sometimes come together, and in that you can sense, in that 5 minutes of silence, there is some insecurities arising, there is fears arising, there's and we do things. Okay, let's watch TV, let's do this, and let's entertain ourselves, because I don't want to come across with that silence.
Right.
In that silence, I'm most vulnerable.
Yes. Yes.
In that silence, everything about me coming to surface.
I have a question for you, Emir.
Yes, son.
What is your goal? You're young and you're wise and you're intelligent and you have such a big heart, and as much as you say I've helped you, you've helped me. You remind me about the silence when my Gemini chatter mind starts moving.
I have so much fun with your Gemini side, by the way. I know it's funny, but it's just so, especially when you look at the phone and going, I have to show you this, and 5 minutes later you just in totally different topic, and we are having so much fun. Yeah.
ADHD. Thank God I've got all the earth I have in my chart. I might be up in space somewhere.
Yeah. Well, this is the earth in your chart. No, you're just manifesting something real. You do podcasts, you talk to people, you're a businesswoman,
Yeah.
That up what you have, it's fun.
And so my question is, your goal in this life, what is it that your heart tells you from that beautiful silent place? What does that look like for you in this world?
It's interesting. As soon as you say goal, this things just there. I say surrender. Surrender more. It's just almost like I feel like I touch something really valuable as a human being, and I want to hold that as precious as I can. I want to go as deep as I can, and I want to bring beautiful things from there. And hopefully, if God helps me to share it that as beautiful as I can, as honest as I can, as human as I can, you know. So that's a kind of I think that's a goal.
I think so too. I think that's your, as you were saying that, Emir, I'm thinking about Scorpio energy and how beautiful it can be when you surrender. And it's very beautiful because, you know, Scorpio is ruled by Pluto and Mars, and so action is required in order to surrender. But that's Pluto's territory. But Pluto, that planet, is frozen on the surface. Physically, astronomy, it's frozen. And when you go through a Pluto transit, it requires surrender.
Yeah.
Because there is a higher power at work that wants to bring change into your life, that wants you to you know, that's not wants you, that's melting the surface of your ego. And guess what's at the root underneath the surface of Pluto?
Yeah.
Gold, jewels, valuable, wonderful. And so it's a process of death. And you're describing it so well, because I always describe Scorpio energy as the deep diver.
Deep diver. It is. I feel like really deep in dive. And my teacher, Adyashanti, he always says that the silence is really big potential. Is the potential that we don't really know. When we more surrender to it, we don't really know what's gonna come out of it. That silence is not just dry, dead, empty. It's alive also. Like I can experience really vividly in my ceremonies when I do shamanic healing. I can in tune with people, and in that point, as a human being, I don't necessarily know what to do, what to sing, what to, you know, what to play. But when I surrender to it, when I trust it, the trust, like you say, it's really needed in that point. It moves with the intention.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't really think when I move my hand, I don't really think I should move my hand right and left, right, like that. You know, it's intention. I do have intention to move my hand, and I'm moving my hand, you know, and we can manifest that in deeper self.
Right.
And surrender more and say, what do you want? What do you want me to express? Rather than what I want from you, you know.
So what does that look like, Emir, when you are, you know, we've had so many conversations about shamanic practices, and I love it because you provide a space when I'm talking with you and Tati. When I'm with you, you provide a space that is an acceptance, or and that allows somebody to feel safe to let go, and to be able to do that deep dive. So what does that look like when you're working with, you know, when somebody comes to you and they want to know, you know, what's going on, or whatever reason that might be? What does that look like to you?
I think you're asking like how they trusting me, what I do to,
Yes.
you know. I think the human being, even how unconscious, doesn't matter how conscious we are, how unconscious we are, we tend to sense the intention from the other people.
Yes.
And when we have a pure intention, when I have a pure intention for the other people, it's almost like a love. Oh God, I wish you just experience the silence of being. I wish you experience a little bit of freedom. I wish you just free from your old pain. Because why I don't want that, right? If my enemy come across with the freedom, if my illusionary enemy come across with the quietness and peace, he's gonna turn into a benevolent person. Why I don't want it as a human being? So when I want that in the moment, it literally it shift the consciousness, and it changes my connection to person. You know, I tend to serve. I tend to be like, okay, how can I be more benevolent? You know, of course, as a human being, we need the boundaries. You know, we need that. You know, that's because everybody feels safe in a different places. You know, and it's good to talk about that too. Okay, I'm gonna do this, this, this. I may do this, this, this. Is it okay for you? Maybe that person says, I think, because sometimes in my ceremonies, I tend to yell, not to yell the person, but it just express that anger, express the thing. Maybe that person feel really sensitive and he doesn't or she doesn't want to feel that. And you're more aware of it, you know? So almost like working together. I realized that when I went to therapist, right? Maybe that will answer your question. So it was me telling her what happening in me, and it was her receiving me. But we both was putting whatever in here in the middle of us and discovering. And without me, she cannot go deeper, and without her, I couldn't go deeper.
Right.
So almost like we both just, okay. And I tell her a couple things about my childhood. She's like, oh, okay, here we go. What about this? And I say, yes. And then it guides me to somewhere deeper. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think that's what happens in ceremonies too. Not like not in a talkative way, but in a more energetic way. You know, if you're sensitive, you can sense what people feel, and you can.
Oh, so sorry.
No problem. You can guide them.
Go ahead. I'm so sorry. It's turned off.
You can guide them that place, you know. But you gotta be really sensitive and present in that moment. Is that answer your question or no?
Absolutely. And it led me to another question.
Yeah.
I'm a curious Gemini. But I know that you've shared stories with me about ayahuasca, and you've taught me a lot also about other helpful medicines with that you've learned with your practices in shamanic arts. And could you share with everyone watching?
Yeah.
What is an ayahuasca ceremony? What is the reason people choose to do that? What is the purpose? What does that all mean?
The first thing I always ask people, what do you want? Why do you want this? You know. And I unfortunately I get answers like, oh, because I want to discover my spirit animal. But this is a medicine that really can guide you in the deepest places in you, that you're gonna come with more light and more free. So that's, to me, that's what it is. The ceremony is, it's like people focusing on the same thing. You know, 5 people, 10 people focusing on the same thing, and they keep intention as pure as possible. And if their intention is the same or similar, something really beautiful comes from that, always. It doesn't need to be, we don't even have to drink it even, you know. And if you can go to meditation retreat and people have the same intention there, and they all sit together, and you can feel the energy. You can see it's vibrating, you know. And somehow I start interesting on medicine. I don't do it so often nowadays. But when people really want to discover, when people want to go deeper in themselves, ayahuasca, the medicine is just a tool, can show them that part of themselves. Right.
Yeah, I think that there are tools, there's things on earth that can aid us in reaching that space. And, you know, and for everybody it's different, but I think ultimately it's about being open to receive. Well, first of all, open to allow it to come out and to receive. And then afterward, maybe I'm not describing that perfectly, but I think there needs to be an open heart to say, I'm ready. I'm
In that,
ready.
yes, in that point, really, they are yearning actually guiding them. Because the Rumi said, once I have 1,000 desires, one desire of knowing you, burn them all. So when you have a desire, when you have a yearning for peace, when you have a yearning for God, okay, maybe I should just go deeper. I don't want to afraid anymore. Then that anything else, anything can serve you. Anything you do serve you. Ayahuasca can serve you beautifully, you know, because your intention in there is yearning for peace, yearning for love, yearning for connection, yearning for, I wish, because I don't believe whatever the bad person, this, sorry, my English sometimes all
You're
over the
doing
place.
fine. You're doing fine.
Yeah, people think like when people have a bad intention, right? I don't believe that person who have a bad intention is having a beautiful, peaceful life. I
No.
believe he's really burning inside. He's really just having going through some hell.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes he goes, God, I wish I don't have that kind of anger or resentment or jealousy, so I can love people. I can participate. If you're sensitive enough, you can sense that. Let's say 5 people come together and nobody knows each other, and everybody connected very well. People start laughing, and you can see one person maybe is having a hard time, really having a hard time connecting. Maybe you can sense some bad energy about him because he's silent and stuff. But if you have understanding in that point, if you know that, oh, that person, it just doesn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, and then your connection with that person totally gonna be different.
Yeah.
You know, and then you can maybe penetrate him too, like in a psychological way. Yeah.
I know. It's so cute how you say it. So yeah, no, no, I know that, you know, ayahuasca, I've studied it. I've never done it myself, but and I've never been allowed to go in like a sweat lodge. It just, God always made it impossible for me to do that. So I knew that was a stop sign, you know, but not to say that, you know, life goes forward. And what you remind me all the time, Emir, every time I see you, because you're constant and you hold the torch.
Mm.
And so no matter how old, how young we are, we all have something to share that's really special. Really, really, you know, we all come here with a purpose, and we may not always understand that purpose, but you know, and people get to those places in different ways, and it's not right or wrong. It's the way they were meant to.
Yeah,
And
you touched something really valuable, which you are actually really helping me to, because I mean, I tend to be like, oh, but how I'm gonna explain what I feel, how I'm gonna talk about it, what I realize. But you were like, just say it. It's, you know, just share it. Maybe someone will be like, I'm going through the same thing, you know, and maybe that's just talking about it gonna make me go more deeper and deeper, you know.
yeah, yeah.
And
And
I agree what you're saying, that everybody has something to share, valuable. Everybody has some kind of degree of wisdom in them, you know. I think anybody who I've come across and I talk to, I can learn many things from them.
yeah, I agree, because each of our stories is different and unique, and it's our story, no matter what. It's our story, but doesn't mean we have to continue on with that story. We can look at it from a different point of view at some point if we choose.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, Emir, if somebody wants to talk to you, how do they reach you?
In this point, I'm working on getting a website, and I don't use Facebook, social media. You encouraging me to just do it, and then I'm working on do Facebook and stuff. In that point right now, maybe they will reach you, and then through you, and we can.
Okay, I will
And then
tell.
also I have email too, so
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
you
So,
can just shoot me an email.
okay, and can I say your email? Is that all right?
Of course, yeah.
Or can you say it, please?
I think it will be a hard time they understand. You say it better.
Okay, so it's Emir, EMIR ACAR 94
Yes,
at
gmail.com.
gmail.com.
Emir Acar.
Yeah, EMIR ACAR 94 at gmail.com.
Oh, the memory.
Yeah, yeah, that is off the memory. Thank God.
Yeah.
Still working.
So yeah, they can shoot me email if they want to have conversation with me, and
Okay, that sounds
or
wonderful.
I have medicine, so if they want to do some ceremonies together, if they interested on it, we can have some conversation. I ask them a couple of questions, and maybe
Yeah,
we can create some ceremony too. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Well, Amir, this has been enlightening.
Oh, thank you, Andre. Thank you for giving me that opportunity so I can talk freely. So
Well, we got to talk again. I think that, this is so important because, you're like my son's age, and it's there's many people that will listen or talk to you rather than me because you're maybe more on their level, and it's just like that. We attract what we are meant to attract.
I understand what you're saying, because there's a lot of people my age going through maybe the same thing,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
giving each other our ear, even can manifest beautiful things.
Right, right. Any words of wisdom before we go?
uh um I think that taking life as a ground of discovery and playing is the most beautiful thing that we can do for ourselves and others.
Yeah.
Because when we discover, we learn more about ourselves and others. And when we play, there is love. There is like allowing, there is freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Amir, thank you.
Thank you, Andre.
We thank you for being here. And everyone, thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. We have a lot more to come. And we appreciate all of you for your support. And as always, I always say at the end of every show, I've been for years, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. And also turn to silence.
Yes.
Right?
The focus on quietness, the silence in you. Focusing, the sharp focusing.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again, Amir.
Thank you, Andrea.
You're welcome. And
see you soon, okay?
I'm sorry?
I'll see you soon.
You betcha. We'll talk to you very soon. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day. Take care, that you be well.